I guess the biggest one that I have is I met my wife through Facebook, Japanese wife. And that was after I wrote about. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of the story here. So, after I dated girls who I met in bars or other places, didn't work out, that's when I sort of realized that, it's okay to be single. I don't have to force myself to find someone. And, and when you go in bars and try to pick up people there, well, you end up picking up people who, sort of go to bars with the same purpose. Like each of you don't know what kind of person you like, and you just go to a bar and you try to just meet people and try to have a chance with someone. And that usually doesn't work out. I mean, I've heard stories when it worked out, but for me, it never did. So that one time I thought about, otaku? Otaku is like people who like, let's say, anime, manga. A bit secluded, they kind of stay at home often, so I was wondering, I think I could get along with a girl who is into that sort of subculture, the otaku culture. So I wanted to go. I wanted to know what was in their mind, in a way. So after I met some cosplayers portraying characters of what they call a boys' love game, which is a game with like a homoerotic story between guys. It's not graphic usually. So anyway, I wanted to understand what kind of material that was, the boys' love game. So I downloaded that, a demo, and I tried it. And that's how I can explain to you now that it was just a homoerotic story between effeminate guys, and there was nothing big about it. But anyway, I wrote about it on Facebook in Japanese, which is rare that I write in Japanese on Facebook. So I wrote it. I wrote why I did that because I was curious. I wanted to know like why girls like that, And that girl found that status through a common friend of ours, and she liked it. And that girl today, well, she became my wife. So it's thanks to homosexuality that I found myself a Japanese wife. I thought it was pretty good.
Not that I can say anymore. Nothing really surprises me. Things still irk me about being here. Little things like why banks still close at 3 p.m. And more recently, probably, the school system, especially PTA and other kinds of parent-teacher groups, I guess. They still kind of function the way that they did 100 years ago. But having said that, I can't really compare them to anything because I never had any kids in the States, so I don't really remember what the PTA system is like in the U.S. So whether it's the same or not, I can't say. But they're slow to change and to challenges and to making things better. They kind of want to do things the way their predecessors did. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily a Japanese thing because my husband's Japanese and he thinks the same way. So I guess that's a surprising experience. Not experience per se, but just something that kind of amazes me even now.
You hear a lot of stories about how nice people are in Japan. And I would say generally people are really nice in Japan, and that still surprises me as someone coming from the States where you kind of generally just leave people alone. You do your own thing. You worry about you. I'll worry about me. Like we'll just do our own thing. In Japan, I've run into people that genuinely have a concern for the people around them. And so that kind of surprises me. And, you're still going to run into people that are, mean or angry or drunk. One of the first run-ins that we had when I first came to Japan back in 2000, we were coming from the airport, going to our hotel, and it was in the evening, and there was a group of us, maybe 20 people, and we've all got suitcases and luggage and just everything, and we're taking up the sidewalk because we're walking through town, and we walk past a shopkeeper who's just kind of standing in front of his shop, and I don't know who it was. I don't think it was me. Somebody in our group accidentally ran into him with one of their bags, and he dropped his beer. From what I remember, it was kind of apparent that this wasn't his first beer of the evening, and he was a little bit angry and yelled at us, and that kind of surprised me because, like I said, you hear stories of people saying, "Oh, Japan is so nice and the people are so friendly," and you didn't expect somebody to do that. On that same note, at the apartment that I lived in previously, there were people that lived in a house next door to the apartment building. And the apartment that I lived in, it was newer construction, but Japanese homes aren't usually known for having good insulation or good sound barriers. And so I could pretty much hear everything that was going on in the house next to my apartment. The people that live there, now I don't know the situation. I don't know if the daughter, there were two daughters that lived in the house with a family, and I don't know if the one daughter had some sort of mental problems or what the deal was, because she was home a lot. She wasn't in school, like being a school teacher and being in the community as a teacher. You tend to know the kids that live around you if you live around your students or whatever. And I never saw her going to school in the morning, like when I was leaving for work, that sort of thing. So I don't know what the deal was. But like I said, insulation, terrible in Japan. And so I could hear everything. And they would get into really loud arguments, fighting and throwing things. And, the police were involved a couple of times, and an ambulance was involved a couple of times. And this was all at 2 o'clock in the morning. And for me, it surprised me because in the States, I lived in the city and I was used to that sort of thing. In Japan, living out in an area that's kind of agricultural and all that sort of thing, you don't really expect that to happen. Especially the loud arguments and the fighting and stuff. You don't really see a lot of that in public. You don't see a lot of that in Japan in general. That was surprising to me. But yeah, for the most part, like I said, those are rare things that honestly don't happen a lot, and so that's good.
The next question was about sharing an experience or encounter that I had in Japan, which was surprising to me. Now, I'm a very hard person to surprise. My occupation, I'm a magician, I'm a mentalist. I've been all over the world a dozen times. I'm a paranormal investigator who hunts ghosts and things like that. So surprising me is not easy to do. So I was racking my brain when I saw that question, trying to come up with something that surprised me. And I think it was early on when I first arrived in Japan. I took a trip up to Tokyo, and I had gone with a friend of mine. We were exploring a town in Tokyo. We went to a sword museum, and we went to a temple and a shrine and did all these very, very Japanese things. And then we're walking through downtown Tokyo, and we both look up and we see an Irish pub. So I think that's what surprised me, seeing an Irish pub in Japan, and we decide, there's no way you can look up and see an Irish pub in the middle of Tokyo and not go in. So we did. We went in. We had some dinner. We had some Guinness, of course, and then we had some more. And then next thing we know, it's midnight. And then, honestly, that's the exact spot where I met my wife. So, she loves that story too, by the way. Don't tell her I related that one. That surprised me.
What surprises you about Japan? Let us know your thoughts and comments by visiting JQNA on Facebook at facebook.com/JQNA podcast. Also be sure to check out the show notes for this episode by visiting kittydoesjapan.com/JQNA. Next week on JQNA, it's the Season 1 finale. Can you believe it? I sure can. I'm going to ask my guests about what advice they have to offer. I'm excited to see what everyone has to say, and I hope you are too. Once again, I'd like to thank you for listening to JQNA. On behalf of myself and the cast, we hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope to see you again next week. If you love listening to podcasts like JQNA, then you'll love listening to audiobooks on audible.com. For you, the listeners of JQNA, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. This week's recommendation is Understanding Japan, A Cultural History by The Great Courses. To download your free audiobook, go to audibletrial.com/JQNA. Again, that's audibletrial.com/JQNA for your free audiobook.